Welcome to the second episode in this series. This episode is all about budgeting and personal finances because it's never been more important to understand how and where you're spending your money. And in this episode, you're going to learn about how simple it can be to budget, how straightforward it can be, how intuitive you can be, so you can have those savings, you can build your money, and it'll help you have that financial security so that you can find a job that you want to do as opposed to a job that you feel you have to do. So let's dive into what we're going to cover today. We're going to talk about the real cost of going to work. This is a really interesting one, and it might be a bit of an eye-opener with regards to how much it actually costs us to go there and what sort of costs, direct and indirect, might pop up, how to make the most out of your money. And this is really important, particularly with everything that's going on. Understanding where your money's going and getting the most out of it is critical for you to make the decisions that you need to move your life forward and feel empowered and actually get ahead with money. Then I'm going to introduce you to something called paying yourself first, a powerful habit that is a game changer. Then we're going to find the money for saving because life is expensive and not everybody feels they're in a position to save, but I'm going to show you an easy way to find that money so that you can save without depriving yourself, without frugality, none of that. That is not my style. My style is about getting value and about living your life now, but keeping one eye on the future. And I'm going to give you loads more reasons to build your money and your financial security. Then we're going to wrap it up all in a big bow and you're going to get a little bit of homework. But trust me, you're going to love this homework and you're going to embrace it because it's going to be some of the best return on investment of your time you're going to do this year. Big promises, huh? So the cost of going to work. There are direct costs and there's their indirect costs. But direct costs, you're going to know some of these. Fuel, transport, work-related things, suits, clothes, childcare. We know these. They can add up. They can be expensive. But then there's other ones like coffee and lunches out. And even if you make your coffee at home, there's going to be the odd time where you do get your takeout coffee or somebody's leaving and you go out for lunch or you do lunch on a Fridays or whatever. And this can add up. And this all takes away from your take-home pay because these are directly related to your work. But then there's other things and will depend on the type of job that you have. You might have dry cleaning bills. You might have to maintain a nice looking vehicle. Car washes are not the cheapest thing in the world. And these things, like the others, they do add up and you have to take them into consideration when you are considering a job. But then there's the indirect ones. And the indirect ones, these ones are ones you wouldn't necessarily associate with work. And it could be ordering takeout or delivery because you've had a really tiring week, a really long week. And you're just really tired and you don't want to cook, so you order a takeaway. You may end up buying more convenience foods. You may end up buying pre-packed or pre-chopped foods. You might not get as much time to comparison shop or use coupons or buying from stores that are convenient as opposed to being the best price. Things like that. They all add up to the cost of going to work. So when you are comparing jobs, it might be worth time just to take in those few extra calculations, and it might be worth considering, well, look, what about flexi time? What about working from home? Would that help? Would it help mitigate costs? Would it give me time to keep those other costs down? And then that's when you'll start seeing the real savings, because when it comes to a job, yes, gross salary is important, but it's what you take home and how much it costs you to take home is just as important. Now, I just want to kind of wheel it back for a second here. Why do we go to work in the first place? Now, I know, pay the bills, everybody goes to work, I need to keep a roof over my head. I get that, I absolutely do. But why else are you going to work? So, if these are the only reasons, would you like to rock up to retirement and go, yeah, it's great now, I'm at retirement, I paid all my bills, I did what everybody else did, and I've nothing else to show for it? My guess is that you do want a lot more to show for your life's work. You want to have the dream home. You want to have the memories of traveling. You want to be able to still travel. You want to give kids the life that you never had. You want to never have to worry about money again. You might want financial security. You might want financial freedom, which is something I absolutely am so interested in. You might want to be more because you work hard for it and you deserve more. But earning money shouldn't have to mean you put your life on hold. And there is a balance that can be found between living now and living well now while still keeping that one eye on the future. And one of the best ways to do this is by managing your personal finances and budgeting. And I highly recommend you do it early and you do it often. So the power of pay yourself first. There's a traditional way of managing money. I'm just going to talk about this for a moment just to give context to what I'm going to dive into. The traditional route is you get your paycheck in, you pay your bills, you live your life, and then you save what's left. But the problem is the saving what's left rarely happens, because when your money comes in, there's so many bills that demand our attention, they have to go out. And then there's Christmas and there's weddings and there's events and there's life and there's that lovely shiny thing that you didn't know you wanted but it's on a great sale. All those things. And you rock up to the end of the month and you go, now I'm going to save. And the money is not there to save. And it's a really common thing and it happens to the best of us. But that is a traditional way of managing money. But the traditional way can often make it harder to save because you're waiting to save. You're waiting for the end of the month. You mightn't consciously be doing it, but that's what happens. And if money's sitting in your account, the temptation is there to have the extra night out or to buy the extra thing that you may not necessarily want or need. But the habit of pay yourself first, this is the game changer. This is where the whole thing is turned on its head. It's putting you at the center of your money. Now, I am very conscious that most of us aren't used to being the center of our own lives. We're used to being off on the side stage and making everybody else the center of our own lives. But when it comes to pay yourself first, you have to make yourself the center of your own life. And that means that you need to make yourself the first and most important bill every single pay period. And what that looks like is your money comes in, you pay yourself first. And I will teach you how to do this and I will talk you how to do this, but you make yourself the first bill. And if you're starting out, even if it's only a tiny amount of money at first, €10, €50, whatever it is, the second that money hits your account, you put that away in savings. Then you pay your bills. Then you go have fun. Guilt-free fun with what's left because you know your savings done, you know your commitments are met, and you can just go enjoy your life. And that is such a great thing to be able to guilt-free go and enjoy yourself. But by developing this habit of paying yourself first, it does something really important. And what it does, it not only puts you at the center of your money, but it means that every single pay period you're moving forward. Because in the traditional route, if your money comes in and the bills are paid and everybody else is paid, the world is paid and the money's gone out the door and you rock up to the end of the month with nothing, you've essentially worked that month for free. That's quite a sobering thought. But when you twist it on its head and you embrace the habit of pay yourself first, even if it's only a small amount to begin with, what that does, it means that you have actively taken money in and you have moved yourself forward in life. You've kept money that is yours to grow and make your life better. The gap. The gap is where you find your pay yourself first money. And how you start looking for the gap, it is essentially the space in between your income and your expenses. So you figure out what your expenses are, and what your expenses are is what you need to spend to keep a roof over your head and food in your belly, the lights on, the heating on, everything for one pay period. We're going to take a month. Let's say for ease, we're going to take a month. So what you need to keep everything running, they're your expenses for the month. You take your income away from that, and that what is left over is the gap. And that is where the magic happens when it comes to finding that pay yourself first money. So how to grow that gap to pay yourself first with ease. So like I said, not deprivation and frugality, ease. First of all, you need to find the gap. So when I say you find the gap, you need to understand your monthly expenses first. And you do this by looking at your bank statements. You pull all your bank accounts together. Hopefully you don't have too many. And you see how much your life costs to run. And you include bills, food, entertainment, utility, mobiles, rent, car. This is your baseline. You will include your cost of going to work. And that is what your expenses are on a monthly basis. And that is the minimum amount you need to bring in each month just to keep the show on the road. And once you figure out what that is and you take your income away from that, what is left over is the gap. Now, that may not be a huge amount once you work it all in, but that's where the next step becomes really important. And that is to widen the gap, make that gap bigger, to lower your expenses so that the gap is wider between your expenses and your income. And how you do that is with a money audit. And a money audit, I think the best way to describe it is if you look at Google Maps. You want to go somewhere. Most of us anyway, will be quite used to Google Maps and how it works and everything. But one key thing is you will never get the directions to your destination until you've put in your current location. You will not know the direction. You will not know how long it will take you to get there. You will not know anything until you figure out where you are first. And that is a really good analogy when it comes to your money. If you don't know where you are with money, how can you possibly know where you need to get to? And sometimes by doing a money audit, you might realize actually, I'm in a better position than what I thought I am. And isn't that a relief? Or you might go, do you know what? Fine, there's room for improvement here. I have my steps. Let's get going. So that's where we're going with a money audit. How you do a money audit. It's actually quite a fun game when you get into it. But first things first is you fix a time. Designate a time. I kind of say maybe Sunday afternoon when you don't have much else on, and you have the space, the physical, mental headspace to sit down and go through this. The first time is probably going to be a bit of work, but it gets easier and easier and easier. And if it is your first time, I'd say do this at least once a year. But most people who do this, they get bitten by the bug, they see how powerful it is, and they end up doing it every 6 months, every quarter, every month. It's a brilliant thing to do. So you fixed your time. Next thing you do is you get reviewing. And what I recommend is get a highlighter, 3 highlighters. It's all you need. Take them off the kids if you need to, or invest in a little set. You need a green highlighter, a yellow highlighter, and a red highlighter. And what you need to do is you get your bank statement. It's probably the easiest place to start is the bank statement. And you work down through a month or 2 of your bank statement. And I want you, with the green highlighter, anything that was money well spent, that you're super happy with, that kept the show on the road. It could be your accommodation, it could be certain bills, it could be whatever. Good things that you are keeping, that you get value from, they're green, right? They are absolute either necessities or just bring you great joy that your life will be less without them. They're your green things. The next lot will be your amber or your yellow highlighter. And they're the things that you could negotiate a bit better, you could get a better price on, like there's wiggle room for improvement on the value versus the amount you spent on it. They're your amber. And then your next step is your red. And your red, they stick out a mile because they're the line items on your bank statement that you go, I've no idea what that is. Couldn't tell you. Don't remember spending that. Those things, and you'll often find various subscriptions that you maybe forgot to cancel, or that you had forgotten you even had, and the trial period and the whole thing, or there's maybe just certain things you go, I don't even remember ordering that or getting that, or I didn't even need that. They're the red things, and your aim here is to take action. That's your step 3. And give yourself, this does not have to be all done in one day. This can be a work in progress. And you might just say, look, in the next week, I'm going to cancel these 3 subscriptions. Or in the next week, I'm going to try and not have all this set of expenses. So that the next time you look at your bank statement, there's going to be much less red and ideally much less amber and much more green. Because anything in green is value for money for you. Anything in amber needs improvement, and anything red, there probably always will be a few, but not as many. And what that does is the less red you have, the more money you free up for the pay yourself first things, the things that move you forward, the things that help you pay yourself so that you can build the life that you really want. Then you make a plan. And like that, the plan could be as simple as I'm going to cancel these 3 subscriptions, and that's €30 per month, and I'm going to save myself 360 a year. 360 a year is a lot of money you can do a lot of good things with. And you make that plan and give yourself small steps, small wins really accumulate. It's like compound interest. They really do add up to give big results. And that's your saving money. Like that's money for your pension. That's money for so many different good things. And you won't even miss them out of your life because they're probably going on things you didn't either use or you didn't know you were paying for or something like that. So you want to curb all the leaks so that you can channel your money towards things that are worthwhile. Money audit is so simple, it is fun to do, and just take action and make a plan. So now you know your income, you know your expenses, you know where the gap is, and you know how to make that gap bigger without taking away from your life. So this is all about value for money. It's not about not spending money, it's about getting value for money. So now what you need to do is that money that you've loosened up, you need to put it to work, and you put it to work through the habit of pay yourself first. And that comes in the format of your pension. Putting money aside for your pension, really good value for money. And it's money that was going off to a company that you never even considered or thought or knew you were doing. You can just channel into that. A rainy day fund. Rainy day fund is really important as well. And I think the best analogy I have for rainy day fund is it's Ireland. It rains. You don't know when it's going to rain, how long it's going to rain for, or how heavy that rain is going to be. But it's going to rain. It's that unexpected, expected thing. And what your rainy day fund does is it covers those expenses. It could be anything from the washing machine breaking down, the car packing it in, something could happen with your job. And instead of having to take the next job that's available, you'll have time to sit back and go, well, will I upskill? What job do I want? Where do I want? What type of job? And you have that breathing space, that financial security there ready to go, because life will throw something at us. And it'll be when we least expect it, and it'll be when it's least convenient. But if you have that rainy day fund there, you're set. And it is such a different headspace to have to deal with a crisis in your life where it's a big crossroads, you might have big decisions to make, but money won't be one of them because you'll have that money put aside. And then there's sinking funds. And sinking funds, they're basically specialized savings accounts. They're a savings account for one specific reason. And they're really useful for things like saving up for a car. Cars have a limited lifespan, and you might get 10 years out of your car, you might get longer, but eventually you will need to change it, and they're expensive. So instead of maybe getting a loan, you put a little bit of money aside into a specific little savings account for your car, and you let it build over the years. So when it comes to buying your new car, your money's there ready to go. Like, how good a feeling is that? You're not dealing with financing, you're not dealing with loans, you're not dealing with big holes in your budget. You have the money there, or at the very least you have a chunk of the money there to lighten the load so that you won't have that financial burden later on. Christmas happens every year. It's expensive. To have a bit of money put aside for that, for back to school, holidays, home maintenance, all those things, these are the unexpected expenses that can catch us off guard and really put us on the back foot. But if you have a little sinking fund set up, you just cash flow the whole lot. It's easy breezy. The money's there. You just get on with enjoying yourself. And it's small amounts each pay period. You could overpay on a debt. If you're looking for a home, this is where you get that extra bit of cash to build up that deposit. Or if you have a lot of these things done and you're ready for investing, this is a great way to build up that nest egg for investing, because you don't want to be investing money that it should only be money that if you lost, your life would still be okay. So before you start investing, I would recommend max out your pension, have your rainy day fund, have your savings, have your home, get rid of all your debt, and then build your nest egg for investing. And that means that you're not as vulnerable if things do go wrong. But that's your pay yourself first money. That's your net worth builders. So look, there are loads more reasons to get budgeting and mind your personal finances. Here's just a few of them, right? Maintain financial control over your life. You are the boss of your own life. It mightn't feel like that sometimes, but you are. And if you have control over your money, you know where it's going, and you've all that green in your money audit, not that much red, you're in good nick. You're holding yourself accountable. So doing the money audits, paying yourself first, having that bit of discipline without it taking up a huge amount of bandwidth, that makes life so much easier. Tracking your financial progress. So if you do decide to develop beyond the money audit, and you maybe have paper-based budgeting or an Excel sheet or an app or something like that, you can see the progress, because day to day it mightn't feel like much, but you look back 6 months and you see how much more you have put aside for yourself. It's an amazing feeling, a really empowering feeling, and it puts a pep in your step, and it makes work seem much more worthwhile because you're reaping more of the benefits. You're not just going from month to month. It's a different ballgame when you're in that headspace. Helps keep your finances organized. That gives you back bandwidth, because if you know, well, that's paid for, that's sorted, that's this, that's it, get on with living your life. You don't have to worry about money. Improves your financial security. Your financial security is your rainy day fund. It's paying into your pension. It's knowing that you're protecting yourself over the long term. Reducing financial stress. Anything that reduces stress is a win in my book. Life will always throw stuff at you, but if you have the money there ready to go, you just focus on dealing with the problem, get on with your life, and not be reeling backwards because you can't deal with the debt or something else like that happens. A big thing with this is once you start doing it, you start seeing more ways to save money and you get really good at it. It's like a skill. It's like learning anything. It's like learning to read or broadening your vocabulary. You get good and it becomes a game. It becomes fun. And you move joy from buying things and tapping on the card to getting more joy or more fun out of life of watching you take care of future you and your family in the best way possible. And that's how building up your financial security. And reduce impulse spending because you get more savvy with your money. You demand more value. You don't want to just waste money because you know the effort you have to put in work to get this money back. It helps you avoid debt because if you have your sinking funds there, you have your bits of savings there, you have to lean on the credit card less. You have to take out loans less. And when you have credit card debt and when you have loan debt, you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable to changes because these raise your expenses, your monthly expenses, and you need to bring in more money just to stand still. And it also keeps you focused as well because you know you're building. And when you're building something, you see it growing and flourishing, it feels good and it keeps you on track. But the bottom line with this, it helps you get the most out of your job because going to your job, it takes time, it takes energy, it takes so much. But if you know that you're really reaping the benefits on several different levels and you know that it's moving you forward, it makes your job so much more fun, like I mentioned a minute ago. It takes fear out of life. You're ready for whatever the economy throws at you. You're ready for external things that you don't have control over. But if they do happen, generally they're things that are outside your control, but at least they won't totally sideswipe you because you have your security built up. And it gives you that quiet confidence that you're steadily moving forward in life. And you will pick out somebody who is good with money because they do have a pep in their step. There is a bit more confidence because ultimately what money gives you is freedom and it gives you choice. And they are two of the most amazing things that you can have in this world. So to summarize, going to work costs money. So comparing the cost that directly or indirectly that a job is going to cost you can help you make clearer decisions on what is the right job for you. But even if you do have costs going to work, being aware of them can help you mitigate them and keep them under control. And when it comes to getting the most out of your money, you need to understand your income, you need to understand your monthly expenses, your baseline expenses, and you need to know that gap, and you need to work consistently on widening that gap because that's where the magic happens when it comes to pay yourself first money and building that wealth and building that net worth. So lowering your overheads, it gives you more flexibility, it gives you more money in there so that you can build up that financial security. And the wider that gap is, the more money you have for savings and sinking funds and rainy day funds and pensions and building and investing and all those good things that just make you feel that bit empowered and keeps you on the right path. And there are loads of reasons. We only touched the tip of the iceberg. But once you get into this, you get bitten by the bug, it becomes a game and it is so much fun. So your task for this lesson, should you accept it, print off the guide that comes in the show notes for this. The guide is on how to do money audit. I go into detail there, print it out, do your money audit. It will be some of the best return on investment time that you will spend this year. Because the amount of money that you will find, the empowerment you will feel, and the more organized you feel, it'll be amazing. You are going to love it. So get doing it and I'll see you in the next episode.